Psalm 90, a teaching commentary. Introduction.
Psalm 90 is the oldest prayer in the book of Psalms. It is the only psalm attributed to Moses, the man who spoke with God face to face, who stood between a holy God and a challenging people, who knew both the weight of divine wrath and the tenderness of divine mercy better than almost anyone who has ever lived. And this is what Moses prays about: time, human life, the gap between a God who has no beginning and no end, and creatures who blossom in the morning and wither by evening. But this is not a psalm of despair. It is a psalm of astonishing boldness. Moses does not simply observe that life is short. He brings that short life before the eternal God and asks for something precise, something beautiful, something that only the God who is from everlasting to everlasting can give. The psalm moves through 6 movements: the Lord as our dwelling place across every generation, human life fading like grass in a single day, days consumed by divine anger, the prayer to be taught to count our days wisely, the petition to be satisfied with his steadfast love, and the closing ask that his favor might rest upon us and establish the brief work of our hands. As we move through each verse, listen for certain words that keep returning: the word return, the word morning, the word generation. In Hebrew they echo each other across the psalm like the theme of a piece of music. The psalm is more tightly woven than any translation can show.
תפילה למשה, איש האלוהים. אדוני מעון אתה היית לנו בדור ודור. בטרם הרים יולדו ותחולל ארץ ותבל. ומעולם עד עולמת האל.
Superscription. A prayer of Moses, the man of God.
תפילה למשה, איש האלוהים.
This is the only psalm in the entire Psalter attributed to Moses. That attribution matters. The title given to Moses here, man of God, was used of the great prophets, Elijah, Elisha, Samuel. It names someone who stands in the presence of God and speaks on behalf of the people. When Moses prays, he prays with that weight behind him. He has earned the right to say what he is about to say.
Part 1, verses 1 and 2, From everlasting to everlasting, you are God.
These 2 verses are the foundation of the entire psalm. Before Moses says a single word about human frailty or divine anger, he plants his flag in the ground: God has been our dwelling place across every generation. The psalm opens not with complaint but with testimony. Everything that follows, including the darkest verses, is said from inside this shelter.
Verse 1. Adonai, a dwelling place you have been for us in generation and generation.
אדוני מעון אתה היית לנו בדור ודור.
Notice how the psalm begins. Not with complaint, not with a request, with testimony. Before Moses says a single word about human frailty or divine anger, he stresses what is the foundation. You have been our dwelling place. The word translated dwelling place carries the sense of home, not merely a shelter you pass through, but the place where you belong, the place you return to. And the tense matters. You have been. This is established history. Across every generation the community can name, God has been this. Whatever the psalm is about to say, and it will say some very hard things, it says them from inside this house. That is the foundation on which everything else stands.
Verse 2. Before the mountains were born, and you brought forth earth and world, and from everlasting to everlasting you are God.
בטרם הרים יולדו ותחולל ארץ ותבל. ומעולם עד עולמת האל.
The foundation deepens. Before the mountains, the most ancient things the human eye can see, before they existed, God was. The mountains themselves are creatures. They were born. God was not. And the word used here for brought forth is extraordinary. It is the word for a woman writhing in labor. Creation was not a cold mechanical act. God labored the world into existence. The God who is eternal is also the God who travailed to bring the world to birth. Eternity and intimacy belong to the same person. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. That phrase frames the entire psalm. Everything between those two poles of eternity is what the psalm is about to examine.
Part 2, verses 3 to 6, dust and grass, the creature before the Creator.
תשב אנוש הדקה ותאמר שובו בני אדם
כי 1000 שנים בעיניך כיום אתמול כי יעבור ואשמורה בלילה זרמתם שינה יהיו בבוקר כחציר יחלוף בבוקר יציץ וחלף לערב ימולל ויבש.
These 4 verses describe what it means to be a creature before an eternal God. The grass blossoms in the morning and withers by evening. 1,000 years pass like a single night watch. This is not yet judgment, it is simply the truth of creaturely life. The psalm looks at human transience honestly, without flinching, and without yet introducing the weight of sin or wrath.
Verse 3. You turn man back to dust, and you say, Return, sons of Adam.
תשב אנוש הדקה ותאמר שובו בני אדם.
The contrast arrives immediately. God is eternal. Humanity is dust. The word used here for man is the weakest word Hebrew has for a human being, the word that emphasizes fragility, mortality, the creature at its most vulnerable. And the dust he is turned back to is not ordinary dust, it is crushed, pulverized dust. The image is stark. But there is something hidden in this verse that the translation cannot quite carry. The word return to dust, is the same word used throughout the Hebrew Bible for repentance, for turning back to God. The command to return to dust and the call to return to God share a single word. Human mortality and human repentance are named by the same breath. That is not an accident.
Verse 4.
For 1,000 years in your eyes are like yesterday when it passes, and a watch in the night.
כי 1000 שנים בעיניך כיום אתמול כי יעבור ואשמורה בלילה.
Moses now invites us inside God's perspective on time. 1,000 years, not even today, but yesterday already gone. And not even the full day of yesterday, but a single watch in the night, 1/3 or 1/4 of the night, the briefest division of time the ancient world counted. 1,000 years equals yesterday already past, plus a night watch. The psalm is not saying that time is an illusion. It is saying that the God who inhabits eternity perceives the whole of human history the way we perceive a moment already behind us. He does not experience our urgency. He is not in a hurry. And that, for the psalm, cuts both ways. It is terrifying and it is also, eventually, a reason for hope.
Verses 5 and 6. You sweep them away. They become sleep. In the morning like grass it passes. In the morning it blossoms and passes. In the evening it withers and dries up.
זרמתם שינה יהיו בבוקר כחציר יחלוף בבוקר יציץ וחלף לערב ימולל ויבש.
The image of grass covers the full arc of a human life in 4 short lines. Swept away into sleep. Morning blossoming. Evening withering. Notice that the word morning opens both verse 5 and verse 6. In Hebrew this creates a kind of liturgical rhythm, as if the community is chanting together what they know about themselves. Morning, morning. And between the 2 mornings the whole of a life has passed. There is something important to notice here. The grass does not suffer. It does not protest. It simply passes. This is not yet judgment. This is simply what it means to be a creature before an eternal God. The psalm will make the judgment explicit in a moment. But here for these 4 verses, we are simply watching the grass. Pure creatureliness. The creature before the Creator.
Part 3, verses 7 to 10. Consumed by your anger, our days under wrath.
כי חלינו באפיך ובחמתך נבהלנו שתה בועינותינו לנגדך עלומנו למור פניך כי כל ימינו אנו בעברתך כילינו שנינו כמו הגה ימי שנותינו בהם 70 שנה ואם בגבורות 80 שנה ברבם עמל ועוון כי גז חיש ונעופה.
Now the psalm moves from observation to confession. The same brief life that was simply watched in the grass becomes something heavier, life consumed by divine anger. The community does not protest this, they confess it. Their hidden sins are exposed in the light of God's face. Their years end like a sigh. This is the darkest section of the psalm, and it is not the end.
Verse 7. For we are consumed by your anger, and by your wrath we are terrified.
כי חלינו באפיך ובחמתך נבהלנו.
Now the register changes. What was simply observed in the grass, the passing, the withering, is now experienced as something heavier. The same brevity of life becomes consumption by anger. The community is not merely passing like grass. They are being spent under divine wrath. The 2 words used here are both strong. Consumed means finished, spent, used up. Terrified means thrown into confusion, dismayed at the deepest level. This is not mild discomfort. This is existential dread before a holy God. And notice, the community does not protest this. They confess it. They do not say, this is unfair. They say, this is true. That honesty is what makes the petitions at the end of the psalm so powerful.
Verse 8. You have set our iniquities before you, our hidden things in the light of your face.
שתה בועינותינו לנגדך עלומנו למור פניך.
This is the reason. Our days pass under wrath because nothing is hidden from God. The word translated, hidden things, carries the sense of secret sins, the things we conceal from one another, the things we imagine no one has seen. In the light of God's face, everything is visible. Nothing remains concealed. The light that should be blessing becomes exposure. God's face, which elsewhere in the Psalms is the source of grace and favor, here illuminates everything we would prefer to keep in the dark. There is nowhere to hide what has been done. This verse does not produce guilt for its own sake. It produces honesty. And honesty before God is the beginning of everything the psalm is moving toward.
Verse 9. For all our days have passed away in your wrath. We finish our years like a sigh.
כי כל ימינו אנו בעברתך כילינו שנינו כמו הגה.
All our days, not a season of them, not the difficult years, but the whole of life, have passed away under wrath, and they end like a sigh. The word used here is the word for a barely audible sound, the low murmur of a dove, the sound of quiet meditation, a breath almost too soft to hear. Life ends not with a shout, not with a declaration, with a sound almost too quiet to notice. There is something deeply true about that image. The end of a life is rarely dramatic. It is a sigh. And the psalm names it with honesty and with a kind of quiet tenderness.
Verse 10. The days of our years, in them 70 years, and if in strength 80 years. Yet their pride is toil and trouble, for it is cut off quickly, and we fly away.
ימי שנותינו בהם 70 שנה, ואם בגבורות 80 שנה, ברבם עמל ועוול, כי גז חיש ונעופה.
Moses does the arithmetic of a human life. 70 years. 80 if strong. And what fills those years? The word translated, pride, here is a rich word. It suggests something swollen, something that boasts of its breadth. And what is this boast? Toil and trouble. Then two images arrive in quick succession. Cut off quickly, the word suggests shearing, a blade through something. And we fly away, the word is the word of birds startled suddenly from a branch, gone before you can mark where they went. The whole of a life, including its strength, arrives at this, gone in a moment. Like a bird that was there and is not. This is the darkest point of the psalm. And it is not the end.
Part 4, verses 11 and 12. Who knows your anger? Teach us to number our days.
מי יודע עוז אפיך וחירתך עברתך, למנות ימינו כנודע ונביא לבב חוכמה.
2 verses that turn the entire psalm. After 10 verses of description, eternity, transience, wrath, the arithmetic of a brief life, the community stops describing and begins asking. And what they ask for is not rescue from mortality. They ask for wisdom to live their mortal days well. This is the pivot on which everything turns.
Verse 11. Who knows the power of your anger and your wrath according to the fear of you?
מי יודע עוז אפיך וחירתך עברתך.
The question is rhetorical, but it is not cynical. Who knows the full weight of divine anger? No one. The community has felt it. These 10 verses have been a testimony to that, but they have not measured it. Its depth exceeds what they can comprehend. And there is something quietly important in the second line. Your wrath according to the fear of you. The anger of God is proportional to the reverence he deserves and does not receive. It is not arbitrary. It is the exact measure of what has been withheld from the one who deserves everything.
Verse 12. To number our days, so teach us that we may bring a heart of wisdom.
למנות ימינו כנודע ונביא לבב חוכמה.
This is the turning point of the entire psalm. Everything before this verse has been description. Now the community begins to ask. And what they ask for is not rescue from mortality. They do not say, give us more years. They say, teach us to number the years we have, so that we might live them wisely. A heart of wisdom is something you bring. The psalm uses the language of an offering, a gift presented. Wisdom is the fruit of days genuinely reckoned. The person who knows their life is short and lives accordingly, that person brings something to God that the person who ignores their mortality never can. The numbered day is not the shortened life. It is the life that knows its length and chooses what to do with it.
Part 5, verses 13 to 15. Return, Lord, satisfy us with your steadfast love.
שובה אדוני עד מתי, והנחם על עבדיך, סבינו בבוקר חסדך, ונרנע ונשמחה בכל ימינו.
שמחנו,
כי מותי ניתנו,
שנות חיינו רב.
Moses now turns the psalm's key word, return, around and aims it at God himself. In verse 3, God commanded humanity to return to dust. Here, Moses commands God to return to his people. This is the boldness of someone praying from inside the dwelling place. The petitions that follow ask for mourning to be transformed. The mourning of withering grass becomes the mourning of covenant love.
Verse 13. Return, O Lord, how long, and relent concerning your servants.
שובה אדוני עד מתי, והנחם על עבדיך.
Now watch what Moses does. In verse 3, the Lord said to humanity, "Return, return to dust, return you sons of Adam." In verse 13, Moses turns that word around and aims it back at God himself. The same word. The one who commanded human return is now called to return. This is not irreverence. This is the boldness that belongs to someone who prays from inside the dwelling place established in verse 1. Moses has prayed this prayer before. At Sinai, when God threatened to destroy the people, Moses stood in the gap and called on God to relent. He prays it again here. Relent, be moved with compassion, change course. The eternal God is being asked to turn toward his people.
Verse 14. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may sing for joy and be glad in all our days.
סבינו בבוקר חסדך ונרנע ונשמחה בכל ימינו.
Listen for the word morning. It has appeared twice already, in verses 5 and 6, where the grass blossomed in the morning and began immediately to die. That was the morning of transience. Now Moses asks for a different morning. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love. The Hebrew word for steadfast love here, the word highlighted on screen, is one of the richest words in the entire Bible. It is covenant love, faithful love, love that does not let go. Moses is asking that the morning, which was the time of withering, become the time of being filled with this love. The morning of passing away becomes the morning of being satisfied. The same hour, transformed. And the result, singing and gladness in all our days. Not some of our days. All of them. Even the days of toil and trouble.
Verse 15. Gladden us according to the days you afflicted us, the years we saw evil.
שמחנו
כי מותי ניתנו.
שנות חיינו רב.
The petition here is precise and beautiful. Moses does not ask for more gladness than the community has known sorrow. He asks for exactly as much day for day, year for year. As many days of joy as there were days of affliction. As many years of gladness as there were years of evil. This is not bargaining. It is confidence in God's justice. Not justice applied to punishment but justice applied to restoration. The ledger will be balanced. The community trusts that. They are not asking for extra. They are asking for what is owed.
Part 6, verses 16 and 17. Let your work appear, establish the work of our hands.
יראה אל עבדיך פועליך והדרך על פניהם.
והנום אדוני אלוהינו עלינו ומעשה ידינו כוננה עלינו ומעשה ידינו כוננו.
The psalm closes with a generational vision and a luminous word. What God does in one generation flows to the next. And over all of it, Moses asks for something rare and beautiful. The Hebrew word for favor that appears on screen names the gracious quality of God's presence that makes life worth living. The psalm that began with God as eternal dwelling place ends asking that what brief human hands have built might be grounded in his eternity.
Verse 16. Let your work appear to your servants and your splendor upon their children.
יראה אל עבדיך פועליך והדרך על פניהם.
The psalm opened with a generational vision. You have been our dwelling place in generation and generation. Now that vision reappears as petition. Let your work be visible to us, and let your splendor fall on our children. What one generation receives, the next inherits. The blessing does not stop with us. The servants see the work. The children receive the splendor. There is something moving in that distinction. The parents labor and witness. The children are bathed in the beauty of what God does. The generational line that was cut off in verse 10 is here restored and extended forward.
Verse 17. And let the favor of Adonai our God be upon us, and the work of our hands. Establish it upon us, and the work of our hands establish it.
V'hinom Adonai Eloheinu aleinu u'ma'aseh yadeinu konena aleinu u'ma'aseh yadeinu koneu.
The closing petition gathers everything the psalm has prayed into a single word, favor. The Hebrew word highlighted on screen is rare and luminous. It appears only a handful of times in the entire Bible, used of the beauty of a beloved friend, used of wisdom's ways. It names something that cannot quite be captured by power or justice or even love alone. It is the gracious quality of God's presence that makes life worth living. The quality that makes you want to stay in the room. The quality that makes the numbered days not merely bearable but genuinely good. And then the double closing, establish the work of our hands, establish it. Said twice. Not for emphasis alone but for intensification. The psalm that began with the Lord as eternal dwelling place ends asking that what these brief, mortal, grass-like hands have built might be grounded in His eternity. We fly away. But let what we built remain. We are grass. But let the work of our hands be established by the One who is from everlasting to everlasting. That is the prayer of Moses. That is Psalm 90.
V'hinom